Hi, I'm Prophet Natty. Thanks for listening to the Caribbean Cannabis Channel. Meditate with us every Monday as we seek to educate you on the latest developments and personal stories of those shaping the cannabis economy across the region. Now here's your program. Welcome back to the Caribbean Cannabis Channel. Always a pleasure having you here, and always a pleasure having our guests taking the time to join us today. Today we have a energetic, engaging young man from Barbados, Martin Victor from Hemp Technology Solutions, and we'll just be sharing our story, sharing the story of their business as well as his own personal story. So Martin, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Prophet Natty. How are you doing?
I'm great, man. Vibes in here in Trinidad as usual. Place a little bit hot, but it's windy, so I'm thankful for that, man.
You got to be, man. You will drop down out here, boy.
So yeah, man. So tell me, you're young. You're the managing director at Hemp Technology Solutions. How was that partnership formed? How did you join Hemp Technology Solutions?
Well, it was conceptualized in 2019, the idea of Hemp Technology Solutions, right? And over the 2 years after 2019, we spent that time trying to find our footing legally. So I am one of the founders of Hemp Technology Solutions. So in that, I just wanted to then describe to you, I didn't come onto this team. I was here from inception in 2019 all the way to our full registration legally in 2021. And, I will be here for a while because I am the founder with the vision, I say. So that is how I got into this post. I have Technology Solutions.
Okay, lovely. So as the founder, what is Hemp Technology Solutions and what is the mission of yours?
I appreciate that question, man. I guess sometimes the company history. Well, Hemp Technology Solutions is a specialized horticultural equipment provider as well as consulting firm, right? We're essentially focused on connecting hobbyists, professionals, and commercial entities with, the established, proven, I would go to say industry specific technologies, as well as veteran knowledge. That's very important to us. And in that, we're supplying the most effective and efficient, as well as sustainable products and consulting services, to meet all magnitudes of the cultivation, processing, and storage needs within the medical cannabis industries, whether that be locally in Barbados, where we were founded and where we're expanding from, or whether that be in St. Vincent, Trinidad, or Jamaica. We are fully committed to being that support sector for the medical cannabis industry when it comes to equipment and knowledge-based solutions.
Okay, nice. So you're the founder as well as you have a vision. So in terms of the equipment, in terms of the consultancy that you provide, you want to give us a little insight as to what exactly you'll assist these persons who are trying to enter the medical cannabis industry with?
That's a brilliant question. We can actually help people from the ground up, essentially from the beginning of their business plan to even, maybe 2 years into operation, they come to us. We specifically, what I would like to speak about is our consultations, because our product launch is actually in spring 2022. So since our fully legal registration, we've been focusing on our consulting and our knowledge-based solutions. So for the stakeholders within this industry, with our consultings, we can consult whether it be for products themselves. So that would be under our product consultation, which I will get into and describe after I, of course, describe to you the other forms of consultation that we do. We also do process solutions, which is essentially consulting, but based on two pieces of data. The data that we have, that is what we view to be the most effective and efficient way to go about things, and the data that you have, which is what you're currently doing or what you currently propose you want to do. So with these process solutions, what we do is we compare and contrast the two to try and see, well, how can we get, let's say, your trimming and sorting to be more optimal, or let's say how do we get your drying room to be as efficient as another example, greenhouses, because there are different types, there are different makes, models, and ideal structures for our industry and for specific price points. So we look at all of these things between process solutions as well as our product consultations to really give our clients and even our currently paying clients and even our potential clients the best insight into the industry as possible. With our product consultations, if you're still following me perfectly, the product consultations, we cross all of these standards in the industry. So from lighting to media to pots, trays, and things like domes. So we look at various things to satisfy outdoor growing, greenhouse, which is a hybrid kind of setup growing, or fully indoor structures. So these are all the things that we're focusing on via our consultations and process solutions consultations.
Okay, that's actually a wide range of different consultancy services that you'll offer, especially being as young as y'all are. I'm only 2 years old. A lot of persons usually stick to one type of consultancy, whether it be process or whether it be product. So it's great that you all are not just limiting yourselves as well as your clients and potential clients in terms of the different types of consultancy services that you'll offer, and being set actually to also launch the equipment that you all are planning in 2022. In terms of actually getting into a consultancy service, a lot of persons usually want to opt into setting up their own grow house or their own greenhouse out there, outdoor growing, or they actually work in terms of distribution, in terms of retail of the product. What was the vision or the understanding that you all had to actually say, you know what, we want to set up a consultancy service for medical cannabis rather than actually getting into it ourselves? What was the thought process there?
The thought process was actually quite simple in my opinion. It was this: we're not experts in growing. I'm not an expert in growing. So I didn't see myself in the cultivation sphere. I didn't see myself in the processing sphere because I'm not a chemist or anything like that. There's nothing valuable that I can bring to these particular license categories. And when it comes to even distribution and retailing, even though selling and being a people person is part of this current position, it's still not a goal it's still just not a goal of ours. We think that with the knowledge already available, based on other markets and case studies within those markets, it's best that someone has to play that role of going through these things and filtering the information out and getting the key and the most influential of informations, so that when we're in a budding industry, we're able to have direction and confident direction of that to meet international standards, regional standards, so you can actually be competitive and not just growing just for growing's sake. So we did not see ourselves, we didn't see any value that we would bring to those operations if we were licensed, and if we were a licensed entity within these individual categories. So that's what essentially shifted our focus to being part of the support sector for an industry rather than being one of the big fish in the pond.
Yeah, man, definitely. It's an important role in the industry that a person sometimes overlook. Persons all about the hype about growing the best bud, being the best distributor and retailer of the product and these different things. But what our region really needs at this time, and you said it, was the information and filtering the most important information, because getting into the industry, there's a lot of complexities. It's a lot of going through law, learning administrative rules and duties, how to properly set up your establishment so you don't run into the law and these different things. Because we're just coming out of that illicit trade, so this aspect is very important. So it's great that you all are touching on that. In terms of actually getting the information and assisting persons, what would you say is some of the biggest challenges that you all have faced in terms of getting that information and distributing it back to your clients?
One of the biggest challenges that we've faced through trying to achieve that is actually not hitting the target in who we're trying to reach. We have a lot of professional growers who have reached out, and we've of course assisted with the professional growers, but when it comes to the magnitude of the assistance that can be offered. We see larger benefits helping commercial clients who are harder to come by because of I wouldn't say the bureaucracy, I wouldn't say the slowness of the application process, but I would say that, being in our position, we can move faster than those who are waiting on licenses and whatnot. So that is one of the biggest challenges when it comes to information. It's not getting it, and it's not filtering through it, because, being in the Caribbean, we know that's what we need. So it's definitely being able to reach our target market in a very efficient manner. So we're not essentially playing catch up when it comes to their business plan, or not being able to offer them the most ideal information when they need it by. Because again, gathering and sifting through and filtering through information isn't a job that can be done overnight. It's something that takes at least a week to make sure that not only you found all the possible sources with the possible information, but you've also cross-referenced. And then not only that, but you have to make sure that you have, your own database of information that you can link it all to, so that your information is not just vague, and it's not just beautifully said, but it's also backed up by actual literature that can help the process in all of its possible aspects.
Yeah, man. You're like incorporating a lot of analysis and data from what I'm hearing. So kudos to you and your team for actually taking that initiative and putting that behind the work that you all do in terms of both getting the information as well as providing it back. In terms of actually dealing with the industry from inception, though, in terms of just the overall look and experience of the medical cannabis industry in Barbados, what are your general thoughts and your feelings towards it? Which part you all are at right now as a country?
I think that I'm not going to say that I'm satisfied, because that would be a lie. I think there's much to be desired with our industry. And I think this because the approach to it didn't fully make sense to me, because if I don't want to get political or anything, but if we're looking at it objectively, if you're looking to, set up an industry within your country that has a lot of controversy behind it, and that has a lot of people who are I would say unjustly treated within your country, who actually engage in that general industry, you should really focus on the grassroots. You should focus on the people within your country who actually engage in the use of the product, engage in the growing of the product, and engage in the processing of the product, whether that be recreationally, which generally isn't seen within our region, or whether that be based on their religion, which is something we actually do see within our religion. So when it comes to our landscape, I would have preferred a more strategic approach. You make sure that the people within your country who can be the biggest assets to the industry are taken care of and not discriminated against for practices that they've been doing for decades, dare I say centuries. So that's information, again, that cannot be replicated or found elsewhere. You build a certain type of culture within your country when it comes to cannabis, and when it comes to even, cannabis that's specifically medical cannabis. Therefore, with that being said, I would have hoped that with our industry, that we would have given credit where credit is due to the Rastafarians who suffered decades of oppression via the law. To practice their own religion, and even now, like we see that there's some legislation that allows for Rastafarians to engage at their churches with cannabis. But even then, we have sources within the Rastafarian community saying that is lip service. That the legislation may exist on Google Docs or whatever downloadable platform they have, but in reality, it's not practiced. And that's a huge disadvantage to us as a country in our quest to find our own identity with cannabis. So that's something that I personally have a qualm with within the industry.
Yeah, man, that's unfortunate to hear. I actually got some feedback from about Abijan, and he would have made reference to that same thing where the law in terms of Rastafari is lip service, because he would have been explaining to me that they're still getting fight down, they're still getting that oppression from the law, even when they're growing their crops, using their crops, etc. And in terms of actually reaching to that point, though, And I know that you all would have had consultation more than likely. I know that the BMCCLA does offer provide those type of consultations to get feedback in terms of regulations. Do you all have like a group or a body of cannabis NGOs or cannabis companies such as yourself that actually assist in lobbying to better implement strategy in terms of the law?
That's a brilliant question, Prophet Nati, because we recently did have reach out to and had a brief conversation with an activism page in our country called Cannabis Barbados, right? That's the page that is trying to do cannabis activism and advocacy from a grassroots or African-centered perspective. And this is one of the groups that we actually engage with via our company. So we have reached out to them and let them know that, well, in the future, whatever initiatives that there are that we can also play a part in bolstering or supporting or even marketing, we will play the necessary part. I mean, it's not a large group of NGOs, but it is one that we believe that really is authentic and genuine with their passions and just truthfully just looking for play and level playing field. And Prophet Nati, before we continue, based on my last response, I just would like to say that when I highlight, the misrepresentancies between, this legislation and what actually happens in real life, this is more so to speak to the fact that that's a problem within the Caribbean. We tend to go about things either too quickly or too slowly. And, the problem with this is that we went about it too quickly. Having a labor force within your country that can actually be skilled within this particular craft prior to large corporations getting their share of the market, that really does give confidence to the average citizen within a country. And I'm sure that the people that you spoke to regarding the same topic, they're probably also upset about the speed towards this medical cannabis act, because we did say, it's lip service that they cannot actually practice what this piece of legislation has said that they could practice. And that's very important to have that asset, the asset of the people of a country, rather than having these, as again, large corporations bringing their teams down here to teach us about a plant that we've lived with. We can easily have our own information that we can share with these people. And as I said, through collaboration and through comparing and contrasting data, you'll be able to even I would say tailor your processes and your practices towards a country and the culture that you live in. And that's something that's missing from our industry.
Yeah, I couldn't say it more brilliantly, because even me doing my own research and reaching out to persons, a lot of persons actually are those big corporations or would have had links with the big corporations. It's always sad to see that we would always reach out outside first rather than utilize the people who have been dealing with the plant for all those decades, as you would have rightfully said. There's always how to put it? Yeah, it is a discrepancy in terms of how they go about dealing with it. From a law perspective, sometimes I'm in the middle, because one, we dealing with a plan that persons often misunderstand. A lot of times person looking for the highest THC amount in a plant, whereas that may not be the best thing suited for everyone. So it's all about understanding the chemical process of the plant, how that interacts with the body and these different things. So I understand the medical approach, however, as you said, in terms of doing it too quickly, that's where the problem does come in, where we first start it and then look to educate the persons as well as train people, whereas the bottom-up approach, as you rightfully would have described, is actually educating the people, training the people, the same ones who have been dealing with the plant, so that they now begin to understand what is cannabinoids, what is terpenes, all these different things. Most of the growers, they may understand what qualifies as good bud, as we just say, but in terms of the actual chemical processing of it, the manufacturing of it, sometimes these things are missed, and it is needed. I know that right now there's a partnership with UWKville, as well as I believe it's BIM Medical, in terms of actually starting, they're actually starting training and education. I know out of the University of the West Indies, Cavil. But it's still that back to front approach as you would have described. But I would like to place my trust in my people across the region that we would be mindful of these things and actually push and advocate strategically for the right implementation of these laws and regulations. So I like to believe it's a stepping stone. I don't want to put the cart before the horse and see what's happening.
Yeah, well said, well said. I mean, I would even go as far to say that, the public-private partnership in which the medical cannabis we have, that is even something that I personally believe could have been better. We're not here to bring down our fellow businesses, but, you can do things better. You can make sure that, well, this course isn't just going to be for medical professionals, which is you are doing something, but you're not doing quite enough. Because if you want to actually engage in empowering the people of a country to engage in an industry, as you said, the first thing you should worry about is the access to education and information. And I personally don't believe that it lies within medical professionals to understand something first, but I believe that it should be the average citizen who should be getting this information first, and the average person being able to apply to be in a seminar or a class to learn about this stuff. So that's just one difference of approach I would have had with that situation. But nevertheless, it is a brilliant thing that the medical cannabis is trying to achieve through collaboration with UB.
Yeah, definitely agree there, man. Definitely agree. It's not just medical cannabis because it's a universal plant. It's funny that we always miss out on the other aspects of it and only focus firstly on the medical component of it, but it's a universal herb. Going back and dealing with the company itself, I know that you initially would have made mention that you all are planning on expanding your reach further into other CARICOM states and assisting others. Have you all begun the process in doing so, or it's still in the works?
Well, both. We have continued our communication with entities within St. Vincent, for example, which is for us a very promising market. So we've continued to make communications with potentials, but nothing has been written in stone. Nothing has been, contractualized. But still, we really do engage in conversing and planning potential partnerships in the future for companies within CARICOM for sure. We're looking at a very slow approach though to this expansion, because we don't want to do this wrong. Even though failure is an opportunity to learn, we still can appreciate that perfect execution or good execution. If it takes a bit more time, it shouldn't be a problem. So our patience within that aspect of our business is there, but also our potential is there and growing. So thank you for that brilliant question. Thank you. So we do see a diversified market with it when it relates to our presence, specifically in places like St. Vincent and very close islands to Barbados.
Alright, lovely, man. Martin, I must ask, as a person who have been communicating with a lot of what we could call veterans in the cannabis game, you're a man well versed in your dealings and your operations. As a youth personally, how has it been traversing this new landscape, not just for your country but for the region as a whole? How does it feel to be at the helm of an organization such as this?
It's a blessing. That's what I'm going to start by saying, man. It's a true blessing, because everyone is looking for a way to help their society, a way to help their region and their people. And, this is a very fortunate situation for me to be in. What I will say about the industry on a whole is that there's been brilliant reception from the international cannabis community for our business, who will rely on them for a multitude of different things. As spearhead our own initiatives, we do rely on international companies, and we have had brilliant receptions with them so far. And as it stands, we're even in the final stages of, I think, 2 or 3 manufacturers to be the regional distributor for those brands. And that just goes to show you that not only do we locals believe in our own market, but multinationals believe in our own market. Which, yes, is a beautiful thing. The multinationals are beautiful, but it's just the idea that this is being so well digested by the people and digested by the entity. So that's been the highlight of the entire process, which is that gaining those connections with the necessary entities, whether that be regionally, as I said, with the companies in St. Vincent that we converse with, and internationally, whether that be with equipment manufacturers or even other type of retailers or even consulting firms or even data-driven businesses. So business underneath the data analytics market. You know, it's been a very brilliant reception, and I'm very blessed to be able to display my passion through this wonderful entity, Hemp Technology Solutions.
Yeah, man, awesome. It's always great to start with your passion and be humble and use humility behind what you're doing. That's what gets you further in the industry or just in life generally. Having both humility and understanding that what you're allowed to use your passion to assist and benefit your society. So that's great to see, man. What is a piece of advice that you would offer, especially to young people who are a bit skeptical of joining the cannabis industry, whether it be medically or spiritually or just generally?
Generally? Okay. With that, I'm going to give a brief backstory into my approach to finding out and learning what I need to know about the medical cannabis industry. If that's all right by you?
Yeah, man, you go ahead.
Wonderful, man. So with my journey, I started off with curiosity, as most of us will start off with. And, you know, that curiosity drove me to, you know, Google, not only Google, but also media, like TV shows, movies, etc., which may I say don't have a brilliant representation of what cannabis use and what cannabis benefits are like, but you know, that's the closest thing to reality that many of us who are more sheltered or more shielded from that aspect of life have to go through to learn about things.
True.
But so through media, through going on the internet and learning. So from curiosity, I went to education. Something that we both have spoken about so much is in this conversation is how important the education is. And it's not just education based on your own biases. So like, for example, if you were growing up knowing that being told that cannabis makes you tired, this and that, and it's not just going on Google and typing in, does cannabis make you tired? And why does cannabis make you tired? You know, how long does cannabis make you tired? Rather than that, you type in, you know, does cannabis really make you tired? Is it a strain that makes you tired? You know what I mean? It's definitely one of those things that you have to check your own biases to make sure that you're actually learning and not just reinforcing those negative views that you've had. You know, and hopefully that education can turn into intrigue as it did for myself. And that intrigue turned into an increased hunger for the information that really does help you understand and be calm with the topic of cannabis, even to the point where you can discuss cannabis as calmly and as fluently as you would discuss maybe your favorite fruit and why it's your favorite fruit, you know? And from there you can either be obsessed with the field and then try to find your way through it, or you can then, through your obsession or through your intrigue, find opportunity, and through opportunity find what you resonate with, you know, and for me, that's the exact steps that I took, you know. I went from curiosity to education to intrigue to a slight obsession, and then to opportunity. So, that for every young person who is trying to find their way or find information on this industry, I highly recommend going through the processes that I did and making sure that you don't confirm, but you check your biases to make sure that the information that you're actually digesting is factual and not just perspective based. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you more than answered that question, man, because as we were discussing before we started, I share the same journey of sorts, you know. Started off with curiosity and you became more intrigued by it, and not just to confirm your own biases, but also understand the differences and what was not supporting your own bias. Because at one point in time I thought that cannabis could do no wrong, you know. I just thought it was the magical elixir. I mean, I still believe that it is a magical elixir, but I changed my approach in terms of understanding how the plant can be used, how I could incorporate it into to my life at one point in time. Some persons believe it was only through smoking the plant that you could activate its components, but we now understand there's a wide range of different methods of consumption, and smoking is the least preferred method or the least advised method because smoking of any substance, as I always say, is not good to the body. But we do bash none of our cannabis brothers and sisters how they make use of the plant once they do so responsibly. But yeah, definitely starting off with always educating yourselves and asking the right questions to actually better understand, support, or explain, educate others so that you're not just speaking off of the top of your head and off of he say, she say type of thing. So sound wisdom that the listeners would benefit from, not just with cannabis, but generally in life as well.
Before we get into this one, I just want to briefly mention like a small hiccup in our process that I think is very important to highlight, because it even more so it reiterates the need for more inclusion within the marketplace and more inclusion, more education throughout society. We had multiple instances where not only our entity but some of our sister companies were barred from doing advertisements for their products, but just like infographics, like what typical pages may do to connect with their followers and create engagement with their followers.
Mm-hmm.
We found that not only our company was targeted, and I would say targeted because of, when I finish it, you would understand why. So you're finding that your market and your total accessible market is now shrinking through advertising because of, the misunderstanding between, these media platforms and maybe what you're currently doing. I mean, granted, I'm no longer barred from advertising my products or my infographic posts, via the company's, social platforms. But that only came after I had to type to them multiple times, explaining and reiterating that just because you see cannabis on my page does not mean that we're selling it. If you would take a time to simply read my caption, for example, or the company's bio on LinkedIn or Facebook, you would realize that, just because you see a photo of cannabis on the page does not mean that this page is selling cannabis or doing anything nefarious. And that's something that I think that we don't get the benefit of the doubt within this industry for those sort of things, which I can understand why you would want to be careful, but just understand that this is also potentially damaging. So when you go about it personally, just make sure that you understand that this could be a hiccup that could dramatically shrink the size of market that you're able to communicate with. We felt and came across some abrupt, without warning and, unjust censorship on social media for our business, even though when we targeted our ads, we make sure to target people over the age of 18, who are adults and who are capable of making these decisions and being objective about certain things. So I just wanted to let people know who are also part of the industry that that's something to look out for, especially if you're a startup, and don't be discouraged by that, to simply make sure that you stand your ground and you make sure to be clear and precise in how you describe your business to these reviewers who hopefully would give you the fair and just treatment as every other entity on the apps are given.
Yeah, that's one of the huge problems a lot of persons have with using social media as it comes to cannabis marketing education, is that there's a lot of censorship. And if you actually go into your settings itself, what Instagram does, I know specifically, they actually automatically limit the type of content that you could see on your page. So persons who probably following your page, etc., unless they have that censorship open, a lot of your content may be stifled because of that. And I don't understand what's the reason, especially when a lot of the times it's more mainly education and not actually using the plant persons get bad from. I actually remember I was testing the waters a couple of months back, using TikTok and these different things. Once you can't even mention anything related to cannabis. You can't really mention anything that may imply that you're referring to cannabis, nothing in your background. All of these different things, they will either one, delete the video automatically, they will never post it, they may buy your account, which probably would have happened to you as you will explain on Instagram. So it's something sad to see, especially when we are making moves to actually legalize cannabis, not just in our region but internationally as well. So that's something that one people need to be mindful of, as you made mention, as well as the entities themselves need to correct this sooner rather than later. So as we begin to wind down, we just like to get some personal trivia questions, non-cannabis related. So the first question we love to ask is there a book or a quote that you always utilize or always go back to?
Yes. I cannot quite remember where it's from, but I can remember the quote. It says, do what you love till it loves you back. And that goes perfectly for the industry that we're in. Perfectly.
Do what you love until it loves you back. That's an interesting quote, man. Yeah, I'll have to see which one that quote is from. I'll do some research because for some reason it's romance. But I guess what we do as well could be compared to romance, as it's our passion, man.
Exactly, man.
Yeah. Our next question we love to ask what is your favorite music artist, or your favorite song?
That's a brilliant thing. I would have to say my favorite artist is Mac Miller, and my favorite song from Mac Miller will have to be, I think I'm actually going to take a quick dip into my Spotify here, if that's not a problem. No cheating, of course, but it's actually called Blue World.
Blue World?
Yeah. Mac Miller.
It is in your Spotify Wrapped?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But and the last question I like to ask in terms of your favorite food, and what's your favorite food?
Oh man, I'm a pizza fanatic, my brother. Telling you so. Love pizza. Yeah.
Favorite pizza?
Oh, don't do that to me, boy. Don't do that to me. Because if I say anything with pineapple on it, I bet I'm gonna get roasted for that. But
now I put pineapple is a must on pizza, man. Pineapple is a must. Yeah, I must have pineapple on my pizza, man.
I like you. You're a good chap, then. I can say Hawaiian then, if you're talking like this. Hawaiian or barbecue chicken, which has one pineapple, I think.
Okay, vibes. Alright, man. Martin, it has been a pleasure having this discussion with you. It has been very insightful, educational, as well as inspiring. And I feel it's because of the proximity in age, as well as our ambition and passion. Yeah, I've definitely felt the drive and the connection, not just with you, but with Hemp Technology Solutions and what you all are planning on offering and already offering to Barbados, as well as the region. We need more of it, and it's always great to see persons such as yourself at the helm of an industry such as this. In terms of reaching out to you and finding out more about Hemp Technology Solutions, how can persons keep in contact with you all?
Well, they can reach out to us on all social medias using our tag HempTechBB, and that is HempTech with just BB on the end. On Facebook, though, you would have a period or full stop between the tech and the BB, and they send you straight to our Facebook page. You can actually give us a call or message us on WhatsApp at 246-253-5028, and we'll get back to you within 24 to 48 hours, depending on your territory. But I also, before I hand it back over to you, I want to say thank you, Prophet Nati, for giving Hemp Technology Solutions, as well as myself, a platform to advocate for the company, as well as connect with someone who is also an industry stakeholder in a very public domain. So people understand that within our region, there's a sense of cohesiveness, a sense of unity when it comes to this industry. We all want to succeed, and we all want to grow the best bud and the most bud. So I thank you for that.
Yeah, man, it has been a pleasure. It has been a vibe, and we'll definitely keep in touch and connect more, as the mission has really just begun, man.
For sure.
Hi, give thanks for listening to another episode of the Caribbean Cannabis Channel. Be sure to like, share, and follow to stay up to date with all the development and behind the scenes happening across the Caribbean cannabis community. Until next time, remember to meditate and educate.